Ish about damn time, Sega. Phantasy Star is one of Sega's most beloved franchises next to Sonic the Hedgehog. During the Dreamcast era, the world was graced with one of the first online multiplayer role-playing games that you could play with friends over the wonderful thing we call the internet. Phantasy Star Online was released all the way back in the year 2000 for the Dreamcast, becoming literally one of the first console-based MMORPG games ever. The game was simple compared to the PC MMORPGs at the time, but the fact that you didn't need a high-end computer to play the game online with friends that mimicked the allure of an MMO back then was what made the game so special. In 2006, they followed up with the franchise with Phantasy Star Universe, a pseudo-sequel to the original, but still retaining a lot of the original fun. Players could simply buy the game and just start playing online with friends, especially with the Xbox 360 version. Like many online games, fans were eager to see what was next for the franchise. In 2012, players got a glimpse of the true sequel to the Dreamcast original with Phantasy Star Online 2. In the original announcements, Sega made it seem like the West was also going to get the game later that year, with a possible 2013 release window, but all fell silent shortly after the reveal trailer. What happened? Japanese players went on to be able to play the game for years to come, but fast forward to this year, 2020, Sega finally announced that the West would now, after all these years, be able to play Phantasy Star Online 2. The game definitely feels and looks like a 2012 game, with graphics and systems originating in that era of gaming, but honestly, the fan reception for PSO2 has been incredibly positive. I missed out on the Phantasy Star Online craze during the Dreamcast era, but as a huge MMORPG fan, it would have definitely been a game that I played for hours on end. Obviously, since you are watching this video, you can probably tell that I played the open beta for PSO2 that Sega hosted this past weekend. Was it any good though? Should you be excited to finally play Phantasy Star Online 2? Let's get into it, guys. Sega is really trying to push Phantasy Star Online 2 with Microsoft and PC. Originally, this announcement was revealed during E3 2019 as quite a bit of a shocker to fans, since most would think that the game was probably never going to come to the West at this point, being 8 years old now.
Those of you who have played Phantasy Star know that this game had influenced many of the most popular games today.
Signing up for the beta was a bit of a weird process, since you had to be part of the Xbox Insider program to more or less even be aware of the beta unless you followed the Sega website or watched E3 2019. Anyways, once the download was ready, I waited for the Friday login phase at 8 PM Eastern Standard Time, only to be unfortunately met with a server down screen. Ironically, I don't think Sega prepared themselves for such a high amount of players wanting to play their game, since the servers filled up within an hour, forcing Sega to launch an additional server and having the game down for a couple hours. This goes to show how much the Western audience has wanted to play this game for the past decade or so, and with the game coming out on console and PC, I can only imagine how many more fans the game will make, since it will be free to play with a cash shop. So after giving the small summary, let's talk about the actual game. PSO2 is a solid action MMORPG, and while the game is 8 years old at this point, the graphics and mechanics never really felt all that dated. I'll acknowledge that the game doesn't look its best anymore at its age, but the gameplay is so damn good that after some time, you won't even care. Character creation has a surprising amount of depth with sliders, facial structure manipulation, outfit customization, and more. At the time of the video, and since the game is 8 years old, we will be getting all the content that has come out since release. Currently, there is 4 races to choose from. There is the humans, which will have balanced stats, making them great for any class, Numens, which are essentially elves with high special attack power, making them good for mage classes, the casts are these robotic mech-looking creatures that have high attack and HP, but lower special defense and attack, making them pretty good for tanks. And then finally the Dumens, which are considered the dark elf or humans with horns. They have high attack, but low defense and HP. More or less though, the race choice won't matter too much, since once you hit endgame, similar to other MMORPGs, your gear will offset any disadvantages you may have. Also within character creation is your class choice. There is currently 9 classes to choose from. All of the classes classes get a variety of weapons to use, which further customizes playstyle, with almost all classes being able to use the gunblade weapon. The hunter is your standard melee class, being able to use melee weapons like swords, wired lances, and partisans, with the class having a mix of offense and defense. Fighters are your pure DPS class, being able to use twin daggers, double sabers, and knuckles. Rangers are your range offense support class, being able to use rifles and launchers. Gunners are your pure DPS range class, being able to use twin machine guns and assault rifles. The force class is your pure offensive mage class, being able to use rods and taluses. The techer is your mage class, with some supportive abilities using wands and taluses. The braver is a ranged melee hybrid class that focuses on rhythm-timed attacks that I'll cover later in the video. They have both offense and support spells, being able to use katanas and bows. Bouncers are aerial combat masters, being able to use dual blades and jet boots, with also some supportive spells. And lastly, the summoner class, which specializes in having a pet fight for them, providing spells and abilities that improve the pet's damage. There is also 3 unlockable classes: the hero, phantom, and Etoile? I don't really know how to say that since it has a really weird spelling, but those require high levels of the classes I mentioned to unlock. There is also a system like Final Fantasy XI where you can dual class, having one main class that you specialize in with a subclass that provides additional stats and abilities, creating tons of unique builds that can be played to create a very unique hero to your liking. So now that character creation is out of the way, let's talk more about combat. Combat is very fast-paced. Depending on your weapon type and build, you will be casting spells, fighting from afar using ranged weapons, or fighting in enemies' faces using melee weapons. As you fight, there will be a few systems to keep in mind. Anytime you attack with weapons, there is a red orb that will surround your character. Timing your next attack and rhythm with the orb will improve your damage, so it's encouraged to get in sync with your weapon type. Special attacks are learned from either your class skill tree or discs that are dropped from enemies. The hotbar down below can house a variety of abilities and spells you learn, with you being able to swap between different weapons that your class can equip as well. Further systems in combat would be things like destructible limbs on large bosses, elemental weaknesses, and charge attacks, just to name a few. More or less, without making this video very long, combat is very engaging with tons of mechanics to take advantage of. Character progression boils down to essentially 2 things: class level and gear rating. Like any MMORPG out there, your character levels up to a max of 75, at least within the beta that was the max. Next is your character's weapon, armor, and mag. Weapons and armor can be enhanced using materials, with further customization being applied elemental damage and slotted effects that give additional perks to your weapon. Armor follows the same principle, being able to be leveled up and slotted with perks. The mag is a tiny robot that follows you and provides additional stats that are augmented depending on what items you feed the mag. It basically boils down to 4 types. If you want to be defensive, feed it armor. If you want to be ranged, feed it ranged weapons. Pretty simple to follow. Content is played out in a somewhat old school lobby based manner. When you want to go out and quest, you go to an NPC that gives you a list of quests you can take part in. Each quest has difficulty ratings so that most will accommodate players of all levels. You can then choose to invite friends or close off the quest from other people joining. A neat feature is if you are a solo player, you can invite NPC allies to help you on your quests, so if you don't like playing with other people, you technically don't have to. This instance quest structure is basically how Phantasy Star Online 2's content is mapped, with things like a storyline and free exploration being other options to play. Also, for those who enjoy PvP, PSO2 is not going to be the game for you, since there is no PvP in this game. Other things to do in the game is the casino, which provides some really fun mini-games to experience, as well as mining, fishing, and cooking. The crafting in the game isn't anything special, since more or less you gather items using fishing or mining to cook or craft weapons, with no sense of crafting progression other than mining and fishing levels. Also, mining and fishing is time-gated with a stamina meter, unfortunately, so it can't always be done. One of the better things to mention is probably just the thematic world. There is plenty of role-playing that can be done in-game, with the hub having lots of space for players to lounge in. Also, for Destiny fans, they have a soccer minigame in the hub that you can play to just pass the time. Not sure if this minigame came first in this game, but it might be safe to say that PSO may have done it first. There is also hub events like concerts with virtual singers that you can watch, and then even the Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer is in-game right now, which is a pretty cool touch. The last 2 two things I want to talk about is the housing system and then the cash shop. The housing system I didn't really get to experience too much of, since the beta didn't really let me buy a bigger house, but it seemed like a neat feature. Like DC Universe Online, you can decorate your room with various knickknacks you find on quests, as well as having a maid of somewhat called an auxiliary. The auxiliary you can completely customize, much like your player character, to anything you want, and has some things that you can do like collect items for you. The cash shop in-game didn't seem too predatory, but I can definitely see some concerns. First, the game has an issue with inventory management, which to be fair is mostly chalked up to clunky menu navigation. The cash shop offers more inventory space to help alleviate that issue, and is something I could see myself purchasing on launch. There's also items like a beauty pass that allows you to re-customize the way your character looks, bigger housing rooms for the housing system, weapon skins to make your weapons look cooler, armor skins, etc. The cash shop was disabled during the beta, so I didn't get an idea of everything that will be featured in it, but based on gameplay, that is what I came across. Holy crap, there is just so much to this game. It's hard to cover everything in depth in a short video. I want to say as my final statements that in my honest opinion, I can say I had a lot of fun with this game. I can see myself theory crafting tons of builds to play, as well as just in general, grabbing a few friends and questing within the world of Phantasy Star. I can wholeheartedly recommend this game to fans of Phantasy Star, as well as MMORPG players who may be looking for something new to play on their PC or Xbox. For me, this definitely will give me a reason to turn on my Xbox One, so I cannot wait for the full release later on this year. Also, for those that are not aware, if you beta tested the game, and honestly I think even if you didn't, Sega is doing a customer survey where they want feedback. If you take part in the survey, you will get 500 premium cash to spend in their cash shop, so definitely take advantage of that before they close it. You can thank me later, friends. Oh crap, I think I accidentally made her too small. Well, at least she's wifey status.
I beat the fuck.
Hey ladies and gents, thanks for watching my impressions of Phantasy Star Online 2. Are you planning to play the game? Comment down below and let me know. If you liked the video, I would really appreciate it if you left a like, as well as subscribed if you haven't already. Both are incredibly helpful to expanding the channel, and I appreciate any support. If you want to follow me on my social medias, I have those links down below in the description, and finally, I want to thank my loyal viewers. As always, you guys rock. That's all for this video, and I will see you next time.